and it may require you to not be in court for a bit of time. When that happens, I think it's important that you understand, and I tell this to juries all the time, when you're not in court, that doesn't necessarily mean that the trial in any way has slowed down. Sometimes when you're not in court, it's because the trial has actually moved ahead of schedule, more ahead of schedule than we anticipated. This is all, I'm sure, unnecessary since you all, I can tell, are serious, enthusiastic, motivated, and conscientious jurors, and I can't help but observe that every day. I have to say that your understanding of Friday casual is still pretty impressive. What I did this morning is, before I came to court, I put my boots right near the door so that if I couldn't forget them without tripping over them. Of course, I forgot them. But a colleague of mine, who's always more prepared than me on matters of this kind, is going to let me walk in his shoes, as we might say. So I again will have a lot to tell you about concerning the view, although it won't take much time. But one thing I'll mention now is I've issued an order. There's limited press that can come on the view, and I've issued an order that's always in place that jurors cannot be videoed at any point in time during the trial, or photographed at any point during the trial, and that obviously also applies to the view, nor can anyone come within 75 feet of jurors during the view. But I'll have more to say about that before we go on the view. All right, Ms. Oker, yes, please.
Alejandro Herrera.
So would you raise your right hand? Take your hand out of your pocket. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may be seated.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
There's been a motion to sequester witnesses in the case. All that means is until all the evidence is over in the trial, you can only be in the courtroom when you're testifying. You can talk about your testimony with the other witnesses, or let them talk about theirs with you. Thank you. Ms. Oker, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your first and last name for the court?
It's Alejandro Herrera, and that's Alejandro, and then last name Herrera.
Thank you, sir. Where do you live?
I live in Clarksville, Tennessee.
And are you employed?
I am employed.
How are you employed?
I am an admissions counselor for a state university.
And what university is that?
That is Austin Peay State University.
How long have you had that job?
3.5 years now.
Do you know Philip Chism?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Philip Chism?
I coached him in middle school soccer his 7th and 8th grade year.
Do you otherwise know Philip Chism or his mother, Diana Chism?
Just through middle school soccer.
Now, what is your experience coaching soccer? How long have you coached soccer?
Yeah. I've been coaching soccer continuously since 2008, mostly travel soccer, and then I've got into middle school soccer in 2009 with that middle school.
So what age players do you coach when you coach travel soccer?
When I coach travel soccer, I currently coach 10 and 12-year-olds, so 4th and 6th graders, and I assistant coach a team of 17 and 18-year-olds.
When you, and you said you coach also middle school soccer?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Middle school soccer will begin in February for our tryouts, and then it goes until about the first week of May.
How long have you coached middle school soccer?
It's been about 5 years now.
Have you coached both boys and girls teams?
Yes, this is the first year that I did not coach the middle school girls team, just with time restraints with my current position at work.
How long, oh, I'm sorry. Have you also participated in coaching in high school soccer?
I have assistant coach at a high school soccer team.
How long did you coach Philip Chism's soccer team?
I coached his soccer team. His 7th grade year was the first year that I was with that team, and I still coach it till this day.
And you had Philip for 2 years, is that right?
Yes, 2 seasons.
Did you, well, first of all, when you coached Philip in soccer, can you describe how he acted or what his behavior was like when you had contact with him?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, with the team that we had his 7th and 8th grade year, it was a very lively bunch, to say the least. And he kind of just was the hard worker, shows up to practice, gets the job done. I didn't have to worry about yelling at him 3,000 times like I would have to do with about half of the rest of the team, because there was just so much personality on the team all the time, going back and forth. And he was one of maybe 4 or 5 that I would just know, okay, you know, they're going to be one of my good ones today.
Was he respectful with you?
Oh yeah, very. Everything I asked him to do, yes sir, no sir, all right, we'll get it done, coach. Sounds good.
How did he manage with the other players on the team?
Oh, he was great with the other players. Again, like I said, he was just one of the ones I would not have to worry about. The rest of them, I mean, they're 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys, so they were trying to wrestle with each other every chance that they got, pushing each other, joking with each other, and Philip would go to practice, come for soccer, and soccer only.
Now, did you also have contact with Philip on occasions once practice was over?
Yeah, a couple of the boys, like we had practice at a very strange time, so it was tough for a lot of people before and after work to get there. So it'd be 4, 5, 6 of the boys would just hang out after practice and would wait for everybody's parents to show up.
How did Philip behave when you were with him during those occasions?
During then, he would just kind of sit there. You know, I would tease and give jokes and things like that with all the boys, and he would just kind of laugh and smirk and kind of just go along with it. With the rest of the boys were all like trying to wrestle again and be rambunctious. He would just kind of smile about it.
Now, was there, oh, I'm sorry, did Philip, or what position did he ordinarily play?
Okay. Philip, he was one of my top scorers his 8th grade year. He was just one of the fastest players in the league that year, and so we put him on top to score goals for us. Towards the end of the season, we had to change that up, though. He wasn't scoring as much. We had one of our younger players step up out of nowhere and start helping us out a whole lot. And so what we did was my assistant coach came to me and said, hey, what do you think about moving Philip to defense? I was just like, well, I don't know if he's ever played that, but hey, let's try it. Why not? And it ended up taking us all the way to the championship.
How did Philip respond to being asked to play defense instead of offense?
Well, that was something that I was concerned about, because during my playing days, if anybody would ever ask me to give up scoring goals and the glory of all that in sports, I would have been completely against it. But, you know, I explained to him, I said, hey, you're going to win us the game from playing defense, and he was all for it, jumped to it, never complained about it, and played the position the whole time.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
The next witness is a minor.
Okay. We no video or photography of the next witness.
Rania Radowi.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Do you attend school?
Yes,
How old are you?
16.
What grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
And what school do you attend?
Danvers High School.
Now, in the fall of 2013, Did you also attend Danvers High School?
Yes,
What grade were you in at that time?
I was a freshman.
In the fall of 2013, did you come to know Philip Chism?
Yes,
How did you get to know him?
he was a classmate of mine.
How many classes were you in together?
3.
Did that change at some point?
Yes,
And so how many well, at what point roughly did it change?
about a couple weeks into school, and then it was only one class that we were in together.
What was that class?
Math,
Who was your teacher?
Miss Ritzer.
Now, before the change in classes, what were the other classes that Philip Chism was in with you?
Biology and history.
And did you have occasion to work with him in history class?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about that? What that arrangement was?
It was about like 2 minutes before we switched partners, but we just stated like it was a getting to know you activity, so we just stated what we knew about each other. And he said that he spoke a couple languages, which I did too, so I could relate to.
So was that something you talked with him about, languages?
Yeah.
In math class, where did you sit in relation to each other?
I was a seat away from him, so it was me, another student, and then him.
Okay. In your time in the early weeks of that fall, when you were in class with Philip Chism, how would you describe his behavior?
Quiet. That's all.
When you talked with him, for example, when you had that get-to-know-you exercise in history, was he friendly?
Yeah.
Now, as it got closer to late October and the time of Miss Ritzer's death, did Philip Chism's behavior change to your observation or to your knowledge?
Not really.
Well, had he, prior to late October, worked in small groups in class?
Yes.
I do think the question is leading, and I assume that's the grounds for the objection. It's within the court's discretion under Mass Evidence Guide 611B to allow some leeway here, and I will, despite the leading nature of the question.
Thank you. Had he, in the early weeks, worked in groups in class?
Yes.
Did that change at some point?
Yeah.
Was that sometime in October that it changed?
Yeah.
How did it change?
Well, we all worked in groups together, but sometimes we chose to work alone. It was a normal thing, depending on the activity.
Okay, and specifically as to Philip Chism, did you notice him choosing not to work in groups?
Yes, but it wasn't odd. It was
Okay.
normal.
Now, to bring your attention to Tuesday, October 22nd of 2013, were you in class with Philip Chism that day, math class?
Yes.
What did you notice about what he was doing or not doing in class that day?
Not taking notes, not paying attention.
Did you notice him doing anything instead of that?
Drawing.
Could you see him drawing?
I could see he was doing something in his notebook, but I couldn't see the drawings.
Okay. And did Ms. Ritzer speak with him about him not doing his work in class that day?
At some point, yeah.
And what did she ask him to do as a result of that?
To stay after.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Oaker, is there anything else before we address the issues of law that you needed to? All right. Let me talk to counsel about scheduling before we have the jurors leave the room. and gentlemen, I have to address the issue of law for a bit of time with the lawyers before the next witness takes the stand. So do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anybody else. We're doing independent research, and the first thing I'll do when you come back into court is make sure that you follow those instructions. It's hard for me to gauge how long the recess will be, but it'll be I think longer than the usual morning recess. Court will be in short recess.